And let's start with Everett. Everett, you want to just say hello, introduce yourself?
First, I want to thank, is it working? I want to thank Kay and Harry for allowing us to come on. I'm Everett Hall, the president of Everett Hall Designs.
I'm Edwin Hall. I just want to thank the National Black Chamber of Commerce for having us.
Yes, I'm Eugene Hall Jr. and want to thank Kay and Harry for having us. And also, they're really good customers of ours as well.
We manufacture in Italy. We sell at our boutique and other small boutiques throughout the U.S. We're also the first African Americans to sell suits to Neiman Marcus, which is probably one of the top luxury retailers in America. We've been in business over 21 years, and we have had the pleasure of doing clothing for a lot of entertainers, celebrities, and business professionals. And we are very fortunate that we love what we do.
Edwin, talk about how this happened.
We are fortunate enough that our father and mother really love clothing, but the silly story is actually one of our other brothers, unfortunately, is not here. He had a birthday, and his girlfriend made him a pair of pants for his birthday, and he brought them home, and Everett says, "I can do that." And a childhood friend, his mom showed Everett and another friend how to make a pair of pants. 2 weeks later, Everett comes home with these pants, and we went crazy. And by the end of the year, he had made over 300 garments while playing on the football and basketball team. Hopefully this is a little bit better now.
Yeah.
And we kind of grew from there.
Wow. All right. And so Eugene, Everett all of a sudden is just, it turns out he's Calvin Klein. Like he just had this talent, he did it. You guys see something there, and then you take it and start running with it?
Well, early on when he first started, I guess a couple of the first ones were pretty disastrous, but he began to get better. And as a result of him getting better, I guess I was the one who really benefited from it because I was the best dressed guy in every school that I ever went to. And and after a point, we saw how well he was doing things, so we started doing it as well.
Was it innate? Was it because of your parents? Was this sort of a gift, or you just felt like, what made you say you can make better pants, other than the fact that they didn't look too good? The other ones you were going to compete against.
Well, it's just an inner feeling. I just wanted to try it, but I told myself a few things that I was willing to work harder at it than anyone else. And I heard Dr. J say a long time ago, if people knew how hard I practiced, they wouldn't think that I was so gifted. So I approached it with the paradigm that I was going to work harder than anyone else. And it's interesting you mentioned Calvin Klein, because I would think about those guys when I got up at 5 and 6 in the morning and said, they're probably working hard, I got to get up and get on it. So you never know who has the vision, the dream, and is willing to put in the work, and who's going to be the next Michael Jordan. So that's the paradigm that I had.
How did it come about you guys manufacture everything in Italy? How did that happen?
We wanted to be the best. And when you're talking about men's clothing, the best quality clothing and the best fabrics are made there. We started manufacturing in a couple other places, and I would walk around the factory, and I was the only perfectionist in the factory. I was like, we got to do it better than that. We got to do it better than that. So I wanted to go somewhere where everybody wanted to get it right, where everybody wanted to be the best. And we didn't have any guarantees or anything, but we hopped on a plane, went to Milan, and we met with one of the best and oldest clothing manufacturers there and was able to work out a deal with them. And next thing you know, we're in a factory with 250 people, and everybody wants to get it right. So we knew that was the best place for us.
Well, that's their legacy, right? The Zinga and all those guys go back, and even before they started making suits, it was all about the fabric. And but you like the idea of perfectionism, that they wanted to do it right.
You can build a business on quality. The more people that find out about it, the more that like you. But the more people that find out that you have garbage, I mean, where are you going to go with that?
So Edwin, now where are you guys? I know it feels like, just talking to you a little bit, you're kind of at a fork in the road with respect to strategy. You're selling mostly out of boutiques, but I think if you can land some of these bigger stores like the Neiman Marcus's of the world, that might take you to the next level.
Well, that's true, but I think it happens in a couple different ways. One, within a strategy as to you can grow too fast, and even though we've been in business for 21 years, and everything can go down very quickly, or you can have a steady growth and monitor with your quality controls and everything else in your particular outlets and go from there. Often people want to grow too fast and get themselves in trouble. But we look at steady growth and also looking at what did we do right, what did we do wrong, and then making the adjustments, those course corrections,
Right.
so we can keep moving forward.
You know, Eugene, when I look at photographs of old Harlem back in the day, you know, everyone would be in the bar listening to the Joe Louis fight. There was a lot of things that struck me with those kind of photographs, but one was that they were always sharp. Always sharp. Even if they had one suit, it was clean, it was sharp, it was pressed. And I don't know that America is that into being sharp anymore. I mean, is that an issue for your business, or am I just misjudging things?
Well, you're right.
I mean, you know, the jeans hanging off the back of the, you know,
It's disgusting, isn't it? Yeah. You're right to a degree. A lot of young people, I don't know whether their parents or grandparents or anyone has taught them the nature of being a well-dressed person. And in some regards, what I see on the street, they don't. What your underwear is showing, you know, when you're walking down the street, that's certainly not a good idea. When I'm at home, I even watch some of those older movies that you're talking about, because I just love the idea of people being well-dressed, well-groomed, and having style. And black people as a style that's really different than any other race.
sure.
And I think we're getting away from that, from our older people not teaching our younger people.
My son doesn't walk out the house dressed like that, but I don't know how when he gets to school, what he does, you know what I mean? But I know, Jameel, I remember watching North by Northwest, and, you know, Cary Grant, of course, you know, he was like probably one of the best dressed persons ever. And I remember when he went to the hotel and he called the woman up and said, I need someone to come up and sponge and press my suit, you know? I tried that one time, I felt real dumb though. I was like, no, she said, what? I said, no, never mind. I thought this was the kitchen. No, you know,
Well,
but I thought it was so smooth back then.
Yeah, growing up, our father wouldn't let us wear jeans. He said that's to work in. So he would not let us do that. So we all had dress clothes all the time, and a lot of the kids used to tease us because we didn't have jeans. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, Everett, maybe what's been some of the unique things that either you have felt or you have sensed, and some of the hurdles because it's an African-American company?
Wow, interesting question. The challenges are the same challenges that African American people deal with throughout America. Prejudgment. I remember we were showing our collection to Bergdorf Goodman one time, and we called, set up an appointment, and we told them we were manufacturing in Italy. And when we got there to present the clothing, they didn't know we were black guys.
They're like, where's Giuseppe? You're like, no, that's me.
Matter of fact, security stopped us and said, what are you guys doing with that rolling rack of clothes, you know, on our way in there? So, you know, it's people have a predisposition that you're not very good at what you're doing. Also, you have challenges with capital. We were very fortunate that we bootstrapped, we grew on our successes. And like Edwin mentioned earlier, if we had gotten some of those large accounts early on, we probably would have screwed it up because we didn't know exactly what we were doing. But we grew every time we did something, and it was successful. We were able to expand, and we were able to go out and get other contracts. And then also, we always look at it as we have to be more creative than everyone else. We have to come up with more ideas to get our product out there. So we had to sit down and not just think about the garment, but who we're going to put the garment on and what type of opportunities might come from that, and then developing relationships. We'd sit out, we'd write letters to different fashion writers, correspond with them, thank them for writing such a great article, and of course they'd want to know, who is this guy thanking me for this? And we continue to communicate with them, and when we got ready to release a new collection, we would write them, and we already had established some type of relationship, and they would be happy to come out and cover us. So in every challenge, there's the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So we just look at it creatively and just try to figure out how we can turn it into an advantage for us instead of focusing on, well, we're African American and we don't have a lot of cash to work with, but we looked at what we did have to work with.
Right, and you're taking the steps. Edwin, speaking of relationships, Nelson Mandela, you want to tell us a story?
Well, it was a very interesting story because before Nelson Mandela was released from prison, we used to do clothing for Donnie Simpson years ago when he had on BET for videos. So we get a call from Donnie and asked us did we want to do an outfit for Sugar Ray Leonard for his boxing match against Thomas Hearns. At the time, we did that, but we had one request that Sugar Ray Leonard had, which was he needed a mandala embroidered on the front of the trunks, which was freedom in one of the South African languages. It turns out a year later, we get another phone call and saying, how would you like to do a suit for Nelson Mandela since he's released from prison? So we looked at him just on television because we couldn't get his measurements and figured out what size he was. So we all sat down overnight and whipped up this suit. And after being up all night, I made the crucial mistake of not going with Everett down to the Madison Hotel. Everett goes down to the Madison Hotel, drops the suit off, they take it upstairs, and he comes down on the elevator and says, Everett, Everett. And then Everett ends up getting the picture with Nelson Mandela. I didn't, And then, of course, and he wore a couple of our suits addressing the UN.
Wow, it's absolutely beautiful.
That's from one of those brainstorming sessions of how we don't have any money, how can we get the name out? Ray Leonard was boxing. I ran over there, convinced Ray's attorney, to allow us to do the boxing trunks and robe. It was seen in over 80 different countries. We had the cover of several magazines. Mandela saw it when he was in prison and requested that we do the outfit for him when he got here.
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Well, yeah, it's really beautiful. Let's wrap it up a little bit here. Talk about what we haven't maybe hit on, what you think is crucial. What you want to achieve, what you want to see. Start with you, Eugene.
Well, I wanted to go back to what Everett was talking about, being creative. Early on, before we opened our boutiques, I used to cold call like doctors, lawyers, attorneys, architects, and different people. And every time you call, you get a secretary or someone that wouldn't put you through to the person you wanted to speak with. And I woke up, I went to sleep one night, and I always used to go to bed with a paper and pencil by the bed, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and write things down. I woke up one night, and oftentimes when I did get a hold of a person, I'd ask them, did they have a minute? And a lot of busy people would say, no, they didn't have a minute. But I woke up one night, and I wrote down 30 seconds. I got up the next morning, and I wrote 30 seconds. Why is that? So I thought about it. So when I would call and ask, not do you have a minute, do you have 30 seconds? Yes, everybody has 30 seconds.
Right.
So I composed what I needed to say within that 30-second point. And if we were on the phone any longer, it's because any additional questions that they asked. And I got through to so many people that it was unbelievable to all of us from just doing that and waking up one night, 30 seconds, So I thought that was pretty creative and very different.
Yeah, that's what we call an epiphany. Keep a pad and pencil by your bed. I get all my ideas at 4 in the morning, too. I really do. Edwin?
I think one of the most important things I learned was business goes where it's wanted, but it stays where it's appreciated. So learning how to appreciate your customers, being consistent with them, work on building those relationships where they're not, when you call, it's not about so much of you trying to sell them something, but you being concerned about them more than the sale. And if you do that, the sale will take care of itself.
Right. Everett?
And you might want to relay this to your son. I think that there are certain skills that you need in this business, and they're learnable. And you can become excellent at tailoring, pattern making, draping, sales, goal setting, illustration, but those are just some of the key skills that you must master. And you have time, start working on them. The clock's not going to run out on you. You know, you can start working on them. You can get as efficient as possible, and then you can also learn from others. But once you develop those skills and you go out and you start to do your thing, it makes it so much easier. And you'd be surprised how it's always the fundamentals. It's never, something just really crazy. It's the key fundamentals. When you master those and really get them down, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. So any of you that are aspiring designers, you gotta believe that you can do it and just start to develop those skills. Continue to have people around you that encourage you and motivate you.
Everett, Edwin, and Eugene, thanks a lot. The Hall brothers.